want to tell you a little bit about what Outlook Chattanooga is, kind of why we're here this evening to talk about diversity and inclusion. Outlook, about 3 years ago, was founded by myself and a couple of other gentlemen, and it came out of what we felt like was a need for a conversation about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So businesses, professional places of work, representing specifically the LGBT community. So for those of you who don't know what that acronym stands for, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. But also we wanted to bring straight allies to the table. So having people part of Outlook that thought everybody had a place in business, that people with talent would have an ability to participate in business in this community and have equal opportunity. So Outlook's mission, bringing all those things together, is to educate the community, to empower people to talk about diversity, to talk about inclusion, and to just bring a voice to a community that is sometimes ostracized. Okay. So I want to introduce Kyle Miller. He's a part of our board, as well as Carl Green. He's our vice chair, and I'm Chris Taylor, as a reminder. So we'll kind of be leading this discussion a little bit.
Just how do we nurture inclusion in the workplace? If the bottom half of this, we see what looks like a Caucasian woman, presumably, and some people from different backgrounds, people of color, and at the top we don't necessarily see that. But how in our society, in our business community, professional community, do we nurture that diversity?
How you deal with each individual person is how you approach them. It doesn't matter what they are or what they have or stuff like this. It's how you contact them on a day-to-day basis, individually. My guiding rule was the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
A lot of corporations stress, teamwork and working together and trying to find a common denominator between, even though we're different, we're still alike in many ways. And they have workshops and things of that nature to come help with that.
I think there's a market value to diversity. I think it's understated and not well utilized. And I think more education, communication, and focal point on the monetary value and skill level and customer experience, understanding of a wide demographic. So if businesses knew more that the diversity is actually a value, then it would be very attractive for them to pursue that.
So I used to work in city government, and before that I worked in the recording industry. Coming from a place that's very diverse into a place that is working its hardest to become diverse. And so I got a lot of experience and exposure to looking at other cities and looking at major corporations and seeing how important diversity is. One of the things that a lot of people aren't aware of is that Chattanooga is predominantly female. There are more females than there are males. But when you look at our city council, when you look at major corporations, when you look at CEOs, they're the most underrepresented group that we have. And how do we get the type of not only representation, but making sure that women have the ability to not only make the same, but to be exposed to the same opportunities that men may be.
Growing awareness, which is one of the core values of Outlook. Because as our stories are told, and business owners' stories are told, and people can feel strength in sharing their stories and being who they are as professionals with their skill sets, but also their private life when that's necessary or needs to be made public, then they can be stand up straight as opposed to being their shoulders bent. Then there's power in numbers.
Diversity, a lot of times we think of diversity as being the race of an individual, and a lot of times it's easy to tell by the color of people's skin. Or we think of age, because it's easy to tell age. but a lot of times diversity, really, it's things that we don't know about a person: sexual orientation, religion, a language or a nationality. Okay, and for me, this picture, you see these people that they could be immigrants, they could be Catholic nuns, they could be Muslim, and you don't know. I mean, you really don't know how their diversity runs through them. One of the things I wanted to discuss as well was the idea of tolerance versus inclusion. And what are the differences between those, and why do you think it's important that we make a distinction between those two?
I think that tolerance is more passive. If you tolerate someone, you just kind of deal with that person and you have positive interactions. Whereas with inclusion, it's more of an active role. You have to make an effort to include that person, to let them know that you appreciate them and you value them for whatever reason. I think it's a lot easier for people to go about and say that, I think a lot of corporations have a tolerant mindset, that they like to say that, oh, we are very welcoming of all these different, people, whether it's, their race or their sexuality, but when it comes to actually including them in key roles and high-profile positions, they're a little more hesitant to do that.
One of the things coming from law enforcement that the chief of police that we currently have would talk to officers about is, it's one thing to tolerate a Muslim faith, but if you have an appreciation for them and know that you're not going to walk into that person's home when you get to a call, you need to ask permission to get into that home. Knowing that even in a nurturing way, putting your hand on a Muslim female may not be the best action to take because it's not something that they would appreciate. And it's one thing to tolerate it, but it's another thing to understand it, appreciate it, and then change your behavior based on who you're interacting with.
People have to have the ability to bring themselves to that work or to wherever they are, and there's a lot of people that don't do that. So you can't, you don't even know because they're scared or they don't bring it up. So before we can even get to that point where you can appreciate someone, they have to be able to bring their whole self and feel comfortable doing it.
I think that a lot of it has to do with self-awareness and realizing that you are in your shoes and that other people don't know necessarily how to place themselves in your shoes, and not being defensive in situations, but realizing that different people come from different backgrounds and have different life experiences that lead to their perception of who you are or who you just happen to be. So being willing to educate people about things that might be uncomfortable for you or that you might be offended about without being defensive.
And I think that's very important. We talk about that a lot in Outlook and whenever we go and speak places is having the ability to understand that some people put a negative term on this, but ignorance sometimes isn't meant to hurt someone. They just may not know. They may not know, I can't use that type of language. I shouldn't say that about you. I shouldn't say that about your religion. I shouldn't say that about your sexuality. They may just not know because we know as a culture that there are things that we see on Facebook and that we hear on TV that even though the masses may be saying it may generally affect a certain group or a certain community. And really being able to hear something yourself, as a gay man, being able to hear someone jokingly say gay in the form of stupid and not getting offended and then just having a conversation and explaining to them, not only how does that make me feel, but usually what I do is I say, that doesn't really bother me because I know that you don't understand what you're saying, but I can tell you if there's a teenager here who is struggling with a lot of issues and they hear you say that, you may change the way that they behave, the way that they go through life, and the next thing that they do might be because of that thing that you said. And when people start to understand that those little things can have a major effect on one person, then I actually did more in that conversation than I would have if I just laid into him and let him have it with like a snap and a twist. So, I mean, those are two options that you could go with, but I like to go with the former so that you're informing individuals, because I can tell you from experience, when you have that conversation with somebody, the next time that person goes and they hear a friend say it, they may just say, you know, that's not, you really shouldn't say that to people. It's not a great thing. And I think that's what we want. I think that most people, and how you build inclusion and safe spaces is conversations like that. And they're not the easiest to have.
What are the ramifications in the professional and business community if glass ceilings do exist?
If you go and speak to anyone trying to bring business here, especially big, innovative companies, they ask, what is the LGBT community like? What is the support system here? And there are companies that I know of that have left and have decided not to come here because we don't have it. Because when you Google Chattanooga and you put in gay, it's negative stories before anything positive. And I think we have to work really hard to get the positive stories at the top of that Google search. There are people who apply for jobs, very talented people, graphic designers I know that have wanted to come here, and then I tell them, you know, it's such an innovative, vibrant place. It's just on the speed hump of really getting to be the progressive beacon of Tennessee. And then they go Google it, and it doesn't tell the same story that I honestly, and I think we as an organization want to not only feel but see. And I think recognizing that, having that conversation with people and letting people know, I mean, that's why Outlook is so important to me. I want people to look and see that there's something for them here in Chattanooga.